Hello.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, okay. I said we are good to go like this. So this is 8:10 already. So any other person will just join us along the line.
Okay.
So instead of keeping ourselves waiting. Mr. Okuzi. Hello, Mr. Okuzi. So let's quickly talk about.
I can hear you. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Well done, sir.
Good evening, no. I can hear you.
How was today, sir?
Good evening, sir.
Okay. So
I was just hectic.
yeah, so sorry about that. So a quick revision to what we did in the last class. So in the last class, we talked about our JavaScript. We talked about introduction to JavaScript, how we can write JavaScript. We talk about 3 different methods by which you can add JavaScript to an existing HTML document. Okay. So, and we made mention of 3 different methods by which you can add JavaScript to an existing HTML. So the first one we talk about is the inline JavaScript. We also talk about the internal or embedded JavaScript. And lastly, we talk about external JavaScript. So these are the 3 different types of or methods by which you can use in integrating JavaScript to our existing HTML. Okay, so today, so we focus more on syntax of JavaScript, then we talk about variables in JavaScript. So specifically, I will focus more on variable, how we can declare variables, what are the rules for creating variables. Okay, so in today's class, so that is where I will be talking about today. So, but before I proceed, is there any question or anything related to the previous class, if any? So maybe we can quickly just take our time and recap a little bit on that, if there's any challenges or any questions.
I've not really had enough time to like go through these videos the way I do before. So but I know that with time, I'll just bring out time and please, I hope even if we are done, I can ask you questions anytime, right?
Of course, of course. If you have any challenges,
Okay.
you can always drop your questions at the group. So if I'm not attending it immediately, but before the end of that day, I will surely see it and I will respond to it.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, ma'am. So today, so let's create our HTML file. So I want to name my file variable.html. Then I want to create a separate folder. So this folder, I will give it a name of scripts. And inside of the scripts, so I want to create a file. And I will name this file variable. Okay, but since this file will contain JavaScript instructions, so it will have .js file extension, which ideally means is just going to store our JavaScript. So back to our HTML page. So let's define a structure for our HTML page. Then the title, we want to discuss about variable. Then here, I will create heading 1 that talk about introduction to JavaScript variable. Then after that, I want to create a div with an ID of target. So, and it's going to be blank. Then underneath this, I want to add a script with src. Then inside of src, I will point to the folder script. and I'm looking for variable.js. So which is our JavaScript. So we are basically binding it to this HTML page. So then all we need to do at this point is to open this in our code editor. So we need to open this in our code editor. So to do that, I'll click on Go Live. And that should automatically open my file inside of the browser. So let's be patient a little bit. So immediately this is open in the browser. So as you see, it's like this. So the first and foremost, I want to showcase my Control Shift and I. Alternatively, so that's the shortcut I just click on to show my console environment. Alternatively, so you can as well right click on an empty environment here. Then we want to scroll all the way to view to inspect. So you see this option of inspect, so you can click on it to get to this environment, this console environment. So now I want to test to make sure everything is working fine. Then I can just place console.log here, and I want to say working fine. So I can save that, come back here, then I should see that inside of my console. So if I'm able to see that in my console, it simply means everything is working accordingly. So can we proceed now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now remember, so I want to drop a comment. Now in JavaScript, we have comments, and comments, just like any other language, is a block of code that will not be executed by the browser. So they are good for us as a developer, as they help us to document, okay, different parts of our code.
Yes.
Sir? Mr. Okuzi? So first, so I want to talk about variable declaration.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, sir.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
Hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Okay, so I'm with you, sir.
Okay, sir. So I will be talking about variable. So
All right.
so what
Okay,
I
sir.
have here on line 2.
Continue, sir.
Yes, on line 2, what I have here is what we refer to as a comment. So a comment is a block of line, okay, that is not going to be executed by the browser. So the browser will see them and will just skip. Okay, so I'll continue to every other part of the document. So they are good for us as a developer, as they help us to document, as well as indicate or tell us what or why we are doing some certain things in our program. So that's the idea behind working with comments. Okay. Now, we have variables in JavaScript. And what are variables? So variables are basically containers. So variable are containers which stores data value. So this is a simple definition to what variable is. So they are containers which store data value. You understand it now? So now to work with variables in JavaScript, the first thing we need to do is to declare. Then for us to declare a variable, we have access to 2 keywords. We can use the var keyword. Then I can do like var name. So this is probably valid in JavaScript. Then I can as well use the let keyword, let, and I call my variable age. So these 2 declarations are very, very possible. Do you understand? This is what we refer to as variable declaration. We just declare a variable, but the variable has no value. So we have another terminology called variable initialization. Now, the term variable initialization has to do with setting initial value for our variable. Setting initial value for our variable. Okay, sir. So I guess it's okay like this now. So in here, so we want to set initial value. So then for name, I can set this to be equals to John. Then for age, I can set this to be age. Can set this to be equals to 18. Then this is the idea of setting initial value. So what can we do here? So we can log the actual value of name. What is our name? Then we can duplicate that line. Then we can also ask for age. Then realize if I save this to come back here to my browser. So you notice the first value is the name, is John, and the second value is 18, which is the age. So, and here is technically what I'm doing. So, and also it's possible for us to create, declare, and initialize at the same time. So a simple example of that is I can just say var, and I say gender, and I want to set it to be equals to male. So this is the idea of declaring and initializing at the same time. So here, copy the comment here, then I want to paste it here. So in this particular example, I will be declaring variable declaration, then and initialization at the same time. So we can log this in console to prove the points. Console.log and log gender. So if I save that, come back here, then reload. Male is okay. Yes, sorry. I need to have this male in quotes because it's a value, it's not a constant. So, and you can see that right here. So this is what we refer to as variable declarations and initialization. Any question? Are we together? This is Randy Roy.
Yeah.
Welcome, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Aniroy and Mrs. Emanuela.
Thank you. Good evening.
So
Good evening.
tonight we'll be talking about variables and data types in JavaScript.
Okay.
So, and if you look at my code editor now, I have a bunch of comments that describe different things here. So one, we have our variable. So we talk about variable. I would say variables are nothing but just a containers which store data value. Okay, then when we talk about variable, we have two terminologies. Do you understand? One is variable declaration. Then what does it mean? It means creating a variable. So that is what declaration means. So anytime I say, okay, I want to declare a variable, it means I want to create a variable. Then I give two examples here. We have one, we can use the var keyword, and two, we can use the let keyword. Now, let is introduced as of year 6, which is ECMAScript, because that is the original name of JavaScript. JavaScript is called ECMAScript. Okay, so in the version 6, they introduced the let keyword. So, and the difference between var and let is scope. I will show you that. I will explain that in more concept, in more deeply later. So I will explain the concept, okay, of block. Why are they different? Because both of them will create variable and both of them will store, but they work, at some point they work differently, okay? And the only scenario where they work differently is when we are dealing with scope or block scope. So that is that. So we have here on line 5, we have variable declaration. We only declare our variable, but at that point, there's no value. Then we have the second terminology, which is the variable initialization. And this concept simply means setting an initial value. Do you understand? It's like setting the first value for our variable. Remember, we created two variables above. One is name, and the second one is age. And I set the name to be equal to John, and I set the age to be equal to 18. Then what I'm doing here is I'm logging on line 9 and 10. I'm showing that inside of my console. Show me what do we store inside of name, and show me John. What do we store inside of age is 18. And we're able to see that directly from our console. Now, back to our code editor. I also said we can declare our variable and initialize at the same time. So, and here on line 13, we are proving that point by setting our variable var gender to be equals to male. Okay, we set the gender to be equals to male. Then on line 14, I'm showing the gender. So what value do we store inside of gender? And here, JavaScript tells us we store male. So, and this is where you met us, man. Any question?
No, no question. I'm good.
Okay. So
I'm okay.
this is the concept of variable. So now, whenever we are creating this variable, we have rules that governs us. Do you understand? So rules for variable declaration. Now we have single line comments in JavaScript and we have multi-line comments. So when we talk about multi-line comments, so we start with /, then followed by asterisk, then we are closing that comment with asterisk, then /, just like in CSS. So this is multiple line. So it means we can have as many lines in these comments. Okay, so and what I technically want to do here is just to specify variable declaration rule. So variable rules. So let me just say rules for declaring variable in JavaScript, for declaring variables in JavaScript. Now, the first thing is that a variable can be created using, so one, to create a variable, we use the keyword var, or we use a var or the let keyword or let. So that is the first thing. Now, the second rule is that our variable name can only start with a letter or $sign. So that is the rule, or $sign. $sign. So this is rule number 2. So it's either we start with a letter or we start, okay? Now 3, variable name can consist of number but cannot start with a number. So that's rule number 3. Rule number 4 is variable name cannot contain a space. So it simply means we cannot have space in our variable name. And rule number 5, keywords must not keywords or, so it's going to be keywords or reserved words or reserved words must not be used as a variable name. So, and these are the simple rules that govern variable declarations in JavaScript. So we have 5 rules here. So is there any of these rules that is not clear that you want me to explain better? Please, are we together?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Oh,
So I just highlighted 5 different rules. Then is there any one of these rules that is not clear that you want me to expatiate on?
For my side, is clear.
Okay, sir. So keywords simply means when I create this variable name now, okay, remember var, let, they are keywords. So it makes no sense for me to use them as a variable name again. So, and you are not limited to just this. We have others, like you cannot use if, you cannot use try, you cannot use catch, you cannot use then, you cannot use while. Do you understand? So we basically refer to them as keywords or reserved words because they have been reserved for some special operation within the program. So you cannot use them as a variable name. So that is the simple rules to variable declarations in JavaScript. Now, the second thing now is for us to focus on the value that has been stored. So remember, we say variable is a container which store data value. Then I give you some examples. Do you understand? Now, I created 3 variables just above. We have a variable called name, which is equals to John. We have a variable called age, which is equals to 18. And we have a variable called gender, which is equals to male. Now, each of these variables store a value. That value that has been stored will certainly belongs to a particular, like they will be classified as a specific type of data. Do you understand? This is the idea of data type. It basically has to do with the type of data that has been stored inside of the variable. Now, when I store age to be 18, age, okay, with value of 18, 18 is basically a number type. Do you understand? And you can actually get that in JavaScript by using a special function called, so I want to log that in console, so I'll do console.log. Then here, I will use the type of, and that is a special function. So type of, then I pass age. So what this will technically do is, if I save it, go to my browser, it shows me what data type is age. And here you can see, it's telling us age is a number, because that is the type of data that has been stored. Now, if I pass gender, so what type of data is gender? So if I save it, then it's telling me gender is a string. So technically, in JavaScript, we have two classes of data. One, we have primitive data type. And secondly, we have the object data type. Are we good? So two classifications of data, because data has to do with data type. It simply means type of data. And we have two classifications here. One, we have primitive data, and under the primitive data, we have some data in place. One, you have string, and string are basically text data. You have numbers. This can be positive or negative numbers. Then it can be positive whole number or decimal number. Also, you have Boolean. And all these are classified as a primitive data type. Then secondly, you have the object type of data. So mainly here, you have array as an object, then you have object. So, and these are the main type of data. So, and here in JavaScript, we also have undefined. And undefined is a special type of variable. Why? I will discuss about what we mean by undefined in JavaScript. So these are the type of data that we have in JavaScript. We have primitive data type and we have object data type. So primitive data type, they are like natural to the language. Example is a string. What is a string? A string is any data that is enclosed in quotes. This can be single, it can be double. Now you can see a simple example. If I scroll upward, then you notice here I have gender and my gender is in quotes. And in this case, it's a single quote. Also, you have another example here above me, which is the name. And I set the name to be equals to John. And you see the John in quotes. So now it doesn't really matter what type of data I'm dealing with. So if I wrap in quotes, JavaScript will automatically assume is a what? Is a string. Then the second one is number. These are basically numerical value. This numerical value can be positive number, like 18, like 15.5, 7.83. They can be positive number. Also, they can be negative number. And when we talk about negative number, they can be whole number. They can also be decimal number. So if I'm dealing with positive, negative whole number, that is going to be -7, -20, -100. Then minus decimal number is going to be -3.14, -18.7. So these are just examples of number. Then also we have Boolean. Boolean type are just true and false. True and false. This is what we mean by Boolean. So in other programs, you see them to be yes and no. So it's still the same thing. Okay, yes, no, positive, negative. Okay, but this is the idea of Boolean, true and false in JavaScript specifically. So it's going to be true and false. Are we clear? So we have undefined. Now, undefined is a special type of data, okay, that you derive whenever you declare a variable in JavaScript and you don't set its value. The value will automatically be set to undefined. So let me give you a good example. If I create a var, and I have message, MSG, and I don't have a value, then I now tell JavaScript, log me the value of var, of message. What is the value of message? I'm asking JavaScript to log that. So if you look in here now, so you can see it's undefined. So this undefined is a special type because this is exactly what JavaScript will store. Okay? It will automatically set the default value to be undefined when the variable has no value. Any question? Any question? So we have less than 1 minute. So this will disconnect. Then I'll send you a link, or better still, I will send you a link. So if this link is not working anymore, I will send you another one. So any question before that time?
Well, I'm kind of finding this a little bit difficult because I'm not really familiar with all these words you're using. Maybe as time goes on, I'll get to understand better, sure.
Okay. Yes, this idea of variable, okay, is like a borrowed idea, and this is directly from mathematics. So before others are able to join us, so let me just share those screens, then I can explain the idea behind working with variables. So now, when we talk about variable, so variables are just container. The essence is they store. So, and they are borrowed from these algebra mathematics, where you say let x equals to 10. Then it simply means wherever you see x, you want to substitute 10 for x. So this is the idea behind variables, the use of variable. Are we together, ma?
Yes, I'm following.
That is where variable comes from. So they are basically, they are containers. So we create them, and the essence of creating them is we can use them. We can use them as a tag, like we store something into them. And why do we store into them? Is because we can use them. We can later reference those things that has been stored. Do you get it now? So we can reference them in our programs. So that is why we are talking about variable. So the second idea now is that this variable is capable of storing different type of data. They can store different things. Okay, and those things that we store now is what we are talking about. Okay, this is where the classification of data type is coming from. So what type of data is this thing? Is this value that you store? So they can certainly belong to any of these mentioned type. So they can be string, they can be number, okay? They can be objects, they can be array. So, but with time we get to understand them better, okay? And we will be able to differentiate between them. So, and this undefined is just a special value that JavaScript will use whenever we create a variable and we don't have initial value. So if a variable does not have a value, then JavaScript will automatically set it to be undefined. I'm rightly waiting for others. I don't know why they have been able to join us. What is keeping others? You ought to have joined us now. Welcome back, everyone. So I guess we can proceed now. So we only have Mr. Okezi that is not around. So can everybody hear me now?
Yes, please, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, I can hear you too.
So this is where we stop. So we created a variable called message. And remember, this is just a declaration. So no value has been set. So, and we ask for the value. We are asking for the value from JavaScript, and JavaScript is immediately telling us undefined. So we say this undefined here. So this undefined is a special value, okay, that will be set by JavaScript whenever you don't have a value. But imagine if I set this to be equal, so to in quotes, so and that can be single, it can be double, and I want this to be equals to hello world. So simply means here, if I come back here and I don't say the undefined anymore because I already initialized, I already set a value. So then JavaScript will set the value to be whatever I set the value to be. Do you understand it now? So this value now that is stored will definitely belongs to one specific type of data. And we can prove that by just logging, tell JavaScript log what the data type is. So we use the type of, then we pass the variable name message. What is this data type of, what is the data type of message variable? And here you can see it's telling us is a string. Now we can change the variable, then instead of setting it to be hello world, so let's set this to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would be just a number. And you can see that here is a number again. So we can set this to be equals to either false or true. And this will means is a Boolean. So I can see that here. JavaScript tells us is a Boolean. So alternatively, so we can set this to be an array by setting square brackets. Then I want to pass array false, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4. Then if I save this now, so I need a comma here. If I save this, then JavaScript will tell me it's an object. And here, so you can see JavaScript is actually logging the value for us. So this is the value of the item, false, 2, 3, and 4. And it's telling us it's an object. So alternatively, I can change the value here, then I can use the regular object in JavaScript. So we use the curly brace. Then in here, I can do stuff like first name, and I will do colon, and I want the first name to be John. So, and this is what we refer to as objects. I want the last name to be Doe. I want the age to be 16 or 17. And I want to have the parts met. And I want the department to be web design. So, and this will still tell me is an object, okay? And this is what an object will look like in JavaScript. You can see here we have age 17, department web design, first name is John, last name is Doe. So this is a regular object. We have the regular object and we have the array object. Do you understand? But both of them are classified as objects, okay? And that is the major reason why we classify them here as our object type. Any question? Are we together?
Please, I want to find out how are we using a console instead of using the window.
Okay.
Right? The
Okay.
console, what is it? Just is it to
Yes. Now,
print out
what console? Console. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that question. Console is a development environment, okay? And
console.log, what is the listen? Console.log
is to show
yes,
inside of the console. So whenever we try to debug or we try to check or test things out, so we can log them to the console. So the console is an integrated environment for us as a developer where we can try things out. It's not what we are finalizing. So when we are creating something for our final user, our end user, we don't need to use the console. Console is used by us as a developer, so we know if something is right, we can actually test it out and see the results. If it's wrong, we can as well test it out, okay, to see what the behavior or what the result should be inside of the console. That's why we use console. So as a JavaScript developer, you will definitely be working with console a lot. You'll be working with the console a lot. So, but that doesn't really mean that we can't display this information on the page. If you want the information on the page, of course, we can do that. Okay, and that is one of the reasons why I created this empty div with an ID of target. Okay, so the idea is I will be able to show stuff inside of it. Then if I'm to show anything, so the first thing I need to create a div here. Now it's not compulsory I name it div, I can name it anything, but this is just the same idea as creating a variable. Then I want to reference documents which is the entire page, and I want to tell it, go and get me any element that has an ID. And remember, my ID is called target. So JavaScript will find these elements for me on the page. And when it gets the elements, so what exactly do I want to do? I want to show stuff inside of it. So, and to show stuff inside of it, I just want to do div dot inner HTML, and I want to set this to be equals to, then I'll use my backtick, and I say the first, I want to showcase the first name, and I will set this to be equals to, I'll use $, then curly brace, and I need the variable name. So in this case, the variable is called message, but inside of it, we have properties. Okay, properties message. Okay, instead of calling the message, so it doesn't really make sense calling the message. So let's call it info. Then here, everywhere we have message, I want to change them back to info. So, and what I can do now is I can do info, then dot first name. So whenever you are dealing with objects, you use the dot operator to locate any property from it. And if I come here, so you can see that directly on my page. We have first name and you see John. So if I need to add any other thing here, so let's say I want to add the age. So I can just duplicate this line. Then instead of equal, I want to do plus or equal because I don't want to replace what we already have, add this one to it as a new thing. So it's going to be plus or equal. Then here, so let me create a paragraph. I want to have a paragraph. I want to close the paragraph. Then in here, so I want to type age. And here, I want to say this dot age. Then duplicate that again. I also want to print out the department. Then here, I can do info dot department. Then if I save that, come back here, then you can see all the message right here inside of my HTML document. Notice I'm not publishing this inside of the console anymore. Sorry. We have undefined for one of our variables. Okay, this is a go. A go instead of age. Sorry. That is a typo from my side. So age is 17, not undefined. So Mr. Okeze, has your question been answered? Are you still there? Hello, are we together? Hello, everyone, are we together?
Yes, so we are here. I'm here. I'm listening to you.
Okay. So Mr. Okeze has this question that why are we not showing our information directly on the page? Why the console? Then I'm trying to explain to him and everyone else that the console is just an integrated environment, development environment for us as a developer. So whenever we are writing JavaScript code, if we run into errors, so we can only see that error within the console. Okay, and when we try to test things out, is this thing going to work or not? We will definitely refer to the console. Do you understand? So that is the idea of the console. But ideally, if you want to publish anything, so you can publish them directly inside of your HTML. Okay, and this is a better way of doing that. This is a better way of doing that. You can see I'm able to publish the first name, publish the age, and publish the department. So, and this is the idea of creating variable. So now, before I expatiate on other types of variable, I want to explain the difference between the var and the let. Are we together? You notice I made mention of two keywords that can be used for variable. Then I said the difference between them is just hope. Okay, is block. Now, what does that really mean? So imagine if I use a var to create a variable and I name it x, and I call my x, I set x to be equals to a value of 5. Okay, then this is a variable declaration and instantiation at the same time. Now, I want to create a block using my if statements. So I want to just do if x is less than 5, then I want to set x to be equals to x, then plus 10. So here now, so I want to do var x again, and I will set this to be equals to x plus 10. Then in here, I want to log x, console.log, and here I want to do x, and here also I want to do, I will log x first inside of my console, inside of my if block, and I want to log it outside of the if block. So I will save that and come back here to my browser. So reload. So, and here I only see one value, which is 5. So what is the issue? So var x. And okay, let me just declare this to be x. Sorry. So let me just do var x is equals to 10, and I will log x here, and I will also log s here. So if x, oh, yes, this is why I don't have that. So if x is less than 10, then I want to set x to be equals to 10. Then save this and come back here. And you can see the two values are 10, 10. Do you understand it now? So here I have a conditional statement. And the condition, look at the value of x. Ma?
I didn't understand this.
Okay.
Please, can you?
Let me explain it again. We create we create a variable, we name it x. Then we set initial value for x to be equals to 5. Do you understand it now? It means the value of x is equals to 5. Then we now have this conditional statement on line 50. And what's the condition there? We are looking at the value of x. Is the value of x less than 10? So the question now is very simple. What's the current value of x? Current value of x is 5. Then the question is 5 less than 10? That would be true. Do you understand it now? So 5 is indeed less than 10. Then we create another variable inside of the x block. Then we name it x again, and we set the value of x to be equals to 10. Do you understand it now? Then after that, I showcase the message, like show me the value of x inside of the console. So I do one inside of the if, and I do another one outside of the if. Okay? Then, to our greatest surprise, the two values are the same thing. Okay? So this is exactly what we mean by block. So when you work with var, it doesn't really matter, because this is what initiates a block here. Anytime you see curly brace in JavaScript, is a block. Do you understand? It simply means this block will be executed. So JavaScript will only interpret this block if this condition is true. And of course, currently now is true. Do you understand it now?
Yes, I do.
So
Thank you.
yes, ma'am. So we want to do similar thing with let, and let's see the difference. So I will leave that code above me. Then I want to change my var keyword here. I want to change it to let. But instead of me using x again, I'll use y. And here I want to say if y is less than, so the only thing I'm doing is just changing the couple of variable and change the var to let. So it's very much identical to what I'm doing before. So if you look at it, the only thing we are changing there is just the variable name. We change it from X to Y, and we also change the declaration. That is the keywords that we are using. We change from the var to lex. Then let's save that and let's go to our browser. And you can see the difference. You notice the first value show me 10 for let, and the second one show me 5. It means when we have this, the Y that we have outside of this curly brace, okay, in let is different from the one that we have inside of the curly brace. That is what block means. So if you take a close look on it now, you should understand what I mean. So this Y here is different from the one that is declared outside. That's what it means. So the one declared outside has a value of 5. Then we look at that one. Is this one outside less than 10? If it's less than 10, then create another one inside of the curly brace. Then this one that is created inside of the curly brace, we set its value to be 10. Then here, I log the value. So it showed me the value of the one inside, which is 10. And when I now ask for the value outside, then the value outside is still 5. So there's no differences. It's still 5. Like, it's not changing it. It's not like var. VAR changed even the one outside. It changed both of them to 10. But in let, only the one inside is changed. The one outside is never affected. So this is the difference between let and var. So when you use them, so the difference is just in block, the block that you are using.
Okay.
Any other question? Any other question? So if that is clear, then let's explore other type of data that we have. Remember, I've shown you text this night. That is string data. What are string data? They are basically anything that you have in quotes. This code can be single, it can also be double. We also talk about number data. They can be positive or negative. They can be whole number, they can be decimal number. Still remember number, okay? But a number can be a text if you wrap it inside of quotes. Like if I have 5 here, immediately I put 5 in quotes, then it's no more a number. Immediately it becomes a text. That's what it means. Now, aside this, we now have array. An array are special type of variable. Okay, and why are they different from the regular variable? A regular variable in JavaScript will store one value at a time. Okay, and when you store one value, that is why you have this data type of string, boolean, number. Okay, because a variable does not, like age, for example, now does not store 2 different values, store just one value, and that one value will have a data type of its own. Okay, but when you deal with array is the collections of values. So, and we have 2 ways by which you can declare array here in JavaScript. So there are 2 different methods by which you can define array. So the first method of declaring an array here in JavaScript, it still follows the same principle as variable declaration. So imagine if I need to create a variable called colors, okay? And I want to store multiple colors. So we use the new keyword, then array, new array. Then here I can pass individual value. So individual value like red, orange, green, blue, blue, yellow, so can you see that now? Pink and purple. So, and this is basically what we refer to as an array in JavaScript. So what's the concept? So I want to log all this value inside of my console. So console.log, log me the color. So if I save it, come here, then you can see each of the color has been displayed here. Then at the front of the color, you see this number 7. So it means we basically have a total number of 7 items within this array. We have a total number of 7 within this array. Do you get it? Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now, so the difference is that a regular variable will store a single value. A good example is name. Name store just one value. And what is that value? It's John. Age store another value, which is just 18. These are single value, individual value, single value. But when we talk of this color now, color store multiple value. Within the color, we have red, we have orange, we have green, we have blue, we have yellow. So it means there are a lot of color within the colors. So this is what we mean by collection. So how can we reference? Because anytime I say colors, it basically gives me everything. It's pointing at every single color that we have. So what now happens when I need individual color? So let's say we need the first color. Now, to get the first color, if you click on the color and you expand it here inside of the console, you can see that each color has an equivalent number. So red has a value of 0, orange has value of 1, green has a value of 2, blue has a value of 3, yellow has a value of 4, pink has a value of 5, and purple, which is the last item, has a value of 6. So when you are dealing with array store value using index position. And these index positions are numerical value, whole number. And these numbers are always 0 base. They are 0 base, which means the first item in any array will store into index position 0. Do you get the idea now? So what happens if we need the second color, for example, which is orange? So how do we reference that? So we just want to point to colors, which is the whole collection. Then we do square brackets. Then we put the value 1. Okay, and down here you can see it's giving me orange. So what color do we have in position 1? So the color we have in position 1 is orange. If we need the first item in an array, so we use color index of 0. Colors, which is the name of my array, square brackets, then 0. Then that gives me the first items. Do you get the idea now? Hello, are we together?
Yes, it's understood.
Okay. So when you are dealing with arrays are basically a collections of data sets. So they might be of the same type, they might be different type. Do you understand? So within an array now, I can store any type of value. I can store text, like in this particular case of color now, every single item that we store is a text. So in JavaScript, we refer to text as a string. So we can also store number. We can even mix number, Boolean, array, object inside of as a value of an array. So JavaScript does not really have problem with that. But this is a very powerful concept when it comes to JavaScript, because later we will be showcasing how we can actually work with this. How we can work with this in JavaScript in more terms. Okay, so this is what we refer to as JavaScript array collection. So JavaScript array collection. Any question? Is there any question? Is there any question?
No, no question from me.
Okay. Ms. Emanuela, Mr. Okize, Mr. Abdullahi. Anyone else with questions? If no, then I will assume everything is clear. So this is the concept of dealing with multiple values. So when we talk about multiple values in JavaScript, we store them in an array. Now, this is the first syntax or first method by which you can use in declaring an array. Now, we have another method. So, remember, we can interchange this. I can use var at some point, I can use let. Okay, they are interchangeable, we can use them. So, imagine I want to create another one here, then I want to store fruits. So, we can also use the square brackets. And whenever I use the square brackets, so I can use this square bracket instead of the new array. Then here, I can define individual fruits, apple, mango, orange, pineapple, carrot. So, and if I log this again, then you will see what we still have is also an array. So here, so you can see we have this array. So you realize that the first one has 7 items, whereas the second item has 5 items. So this is the idea of working with array. So, and now you should get the idea that arrays are zero base, which means each item that is stored inside of the array will maintain a position. In case of fruits, if I need the first fruit, I will reference the fruits, which is the whole collection of everything. Then I can point to position 0, and that will give me apple, which is the first fruit. Now, if I need the last item, then I'll count from the beginning to the end. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I come here and I do fruits, index of 4, and that should give me the last item, which is carrots. So this is how we can work with array in JavaScript. How we can work with array in JavaScript. So, and arrays are very, very flexible because they can store unlimited amount of values. They can store as many things as we wish. So they are not limited to a certain data type, a single type of data. They are not limited to that. Also, they are not limited to a particular amount. Like, okay, we can only store 10, we can only store 30. No, you can store unlimited. You have storage all the way to infinity. So So before others are able to join us, so any question, any difficulty with what we discussed so far? Please run it, right?
Well, I don't have any question, but I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
The JavaScript is responsible for the responsiveness to a
No,
website, right?
no. It has to do with interactivity, behavior.
Interactivity.
Yes,
Like,
interact. Ma?
how? What do you mean by the interactivity of a website?
Okay. Like when you click on a button, that's an interactivity. Like when maybe I have a particular items that I want them to be able to add to cart. You know, you've been to e-commerce websites where I want the user to have the ability of increasing the quantity of item they want to purchase. By default, you will see one there, but you can see this plus that can increase the number and see minus that can decrease the number.
Okay.
Yeah. You can also have this that can give you calculate. So as you are typing, okay, or based on what you've selected, what you've added to your cart, it will be able to summarize and calculate the total for you.
Okay. Okay.
So kind of stuff like that.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Okezi? Are we together? Mr. Abdullahi? So this is exactly what we mean by our sorry. So this is what we mean by array. So I'll be showing you how you can relate all these things. First, I want you to understand the concept. Then later, I'll be showing you how you will be integrating this to your existing HTML page. Okay? So currently now you realize that what we have been doing within the area of JavaScript. We are not directly relating with the HTML, but with time, I'll be relating them with the HTML. Now, like I have these fruits, I can publish them directly in the HTML. If I need to do that, remember we have our div, okay? Then we can just have the div, we can reference the inner HTML, then we can just do plus or equal to a new, so here, create a p tag, and I can do plus, and I can do fruits. Fruits, I can do plus, then a closing tag of a paragraph. Then save, come back here, and you can see all the fruits are automatically added. Okay, and this time around now, you realize that we automatically have comma as a separator between each of these items. That is basically because when you work with JavaScript, there's an automatic to string. So when you try to display an array, it automatically has to string. And this to string comes with, so you realize if I reload it now, you notice there's no difference because it's converting the array back to string for us. And this operation is automatic. So, but alternatively, so if I want to use something else or I need a space, I can use the join. So joins are methods. So these are my point of focus in the next class, which is going to be tomorrow. So I will be talking about, I'll be talking about the methods for strings, the methods of array. So comma, space, and if you come here, you can see there's a comma and a space between them. So each object or each type that we work with has their own method. String has their own, number has their own, array has its own, object has its own. So we'll be talking about methods, okay? That are specific to each of these data type. So we basically start with string. Basically, we start with string. Any question? Any question?
Yes, there should be a question. Maybe you wanna go through the video and then because the thing has been so distant, but it just is kind of a different environment. So you need to digest it properly before then.
So exactly what I told you earlier, because JavaScript has syntax that is actually different entirely from the regular HTML and the CSS. So it's kind of a little bit tricky and different with the way we create JavaScript. So if no questions, so I'll be talking about different other methods in the next class. So I will talk about stuff like,
Okay, that's fine.
okay. I'll be talking about stuff like, I'll be talking about methods like pop, like push, like filter, like sort, like a map, like for each. That's for array. Now, when we talk of strings, when we talk about text now, we're talking about methods like to uppercase, to lowercase, include, index of. We have search. We have split and many more. So we'll be talking about those methods for strings. So we have similar thing for numbers too. So we want to basically explore, okay? Then There is another thing you also need to understand, which is with string, with number, they also have object type. Remember I mentioned 2 types. So if I scroll upward, notice I have this primitive and object type. So string has object variation in JavaScript. Number also have object variation. Boolean also have object variation. So we'll be talking about them and how, because technically JavaScript split this thing to primitive and object. But technically, everything in JavaScript is an object. That is the rule. Every single thing in JavaScript is an object. So whatever you have in JavaScript is always an object. So that is it. So if no any other questions, so let's meet again tomorrow, and please let's join as early as possible. So, and you can as well read. So I believe you all have access to W3 School from your end. So you can read on data types, variables, read on data types, and read on array. So, and if there's any questions, so you can note them, then ask questions tomorrow. So it shows you really practice at some point. So, and it shows you really understand the class. So take your time, go through all these topics. Okay, so you can actually come with questions tomorrow. So that is it.
Okay, thank you very much for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir. Good night, sir. Good night, sir. Good night, Mark. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Yes, sir.